Be sure to comment down below and let me know what you find helpful. Shoot it to a friend and be like, girl, she came through with the tips on this one, sis. We've been talking about this. But yeah, like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And until next time. All right, friends, hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel, A Radical Relationship, where we are talking all things faith and all things lifestyle. We're back with another video, y'all, and today is a topical video. We're back with the nuggets, okay? Today we're going to be talking about social media. Don't we have this whole love-hate relationship with social media? Can't live with it, can't live without it. Do a social media fast here, get back on social media, fall right back into the patterns that I was in before, completely making the fast irrelevant. You know how we do in them toxic relationships, okay? But we are here, okay? Here at A Radical Relationship, we trying to the toxicity, we trying to the toxicity, okay? So today, in the vein of relationships, we are talking about our relationship with social media. So why this video? I've been doing a lot of talking about just my content, thinking about where that is going. In my previous video where I did a life update, I talked about just staying true to my why and constantly evaluating why I'm engaging, when I'm engaging, what my purpose is, what am I putting out here and why, and just getting in tune with what's going to be healthiest for me and what my relationship with social media and content production is going to look like. And so much of those revelations is just that, like, I want to be authentic. I don't want to give into just the different pressures for the sake of trying to grow, but I also just want it to come from a truly authentic place. I don't want to become consumed at any point with that. It takes the fun out of it for me, and I've seen that already. And I've also realized that I'm my healthiest mentally when I'm not just scrolling mindlessly, because I'm more devoted to being productive in my day and getting things done, which ultimately give me the boost that I need, as opposed to at the end of the day feeling like I done wasted so much time because I spent time just like scrolling through and I can't even tell you half the content that I consumed. So just want to be healthier, you know, all around, and part of that is our relationship with social media. So we are going to talk through today tips for a healthier relationship with social media. And I appreciated this topic too, because when you think about relationships, you tend to think about humans, you know, but even as I consider the name of my platform, A Radical Relationship, I'm starting to think about a lot of different things that we have relationships with, you know, and what that looks like. So my first tip here is to evaluate your why. When you are on social media, when you are engaging on social media, when you're consuming social media, evaluate the why and ask why in every department. Why am I on here? What's my goal? What's the healthy parts of it for me? What's not the healthy parts of it for me? And even who you're following. Ask yourself why. When you see that person come up on your feed, ask yourself why. And I did a video on that called Who Are You Following and Why, that I'll add a card for. But it's the same premise of, like, you know, sometimes we just may give a gracious follow back or whatever the case may be, but truly evaluate that. And even along those same lines, that's a second tip. Evaluate who you're following, and don't be afraid to utilize that unfollow button, and don't be afraid to utilize that mute button, okay? the mute button has come in handy for me. And not even like, sometimes I have to mute people for my own benefit. Like, it ain't nothing that they did wrong, and it ain't them, it's me, whether it's an insecurity or something's just not beneficial for me to look at based on how they moving, you know. So I think like these different platforms have made these features available for a reason. Use them. Use them in whatever ways will help your relationship with social media to be healthier. If you're watching this video, then the title of it probably captured your attention for a reason. So evaluate as well, why do you want to change this relationship? That's tip number 3. So what are the things that's going on? What's the impact that it's having that's even causing you to think about why you want to change this relationship? And depending on how serious you are, maybe you want to list some of those things out. You know, this is how my relationship with social media positively impacts my life. This is how my relationship with social media negatively impacts my life. And then what can I do to change this column over here, the negative impact? And just start with one. Like, we're not looking to accomplish this in a week. I'm learning to be okay with the fact that everything about life is just a process. So once you get to some of the positives and negatives, and then we want to say, what's one thing I can do different this week? Just one that I can stick to. And if you want to have an accountability partner, go as far as to do that as well. What's one thing that I can do this week that's going to move me in the direction of my goal, not necessarily like get me there immediately. Another question that I had is to evaluate what exactly do I think a healthy relationship with social media looks like? So if you at the end of the week were to lay down on Saturday night and say, I'm pretty proud of myself for what this area has looked like, what would that have been? Would it have been that you scrolled less? Would it be that you were just more intentional about when you engage? Would it be that you limited yourself to a certain time frame throughout each day? Perhaps you chose not to be on socials during the week and you give it to yourself on the weekends. Whatever it looks like, what would make you go, okay, I like this. Like, I can sleep well at night knowing that I engaged in this way on social media, because oftentimes, we don't have a true measurement for when we feel like we're doing well in this area. We just kind of trying to figure it out, and I guess we'll know if we get there, but actually maybe take some time to give that some thought. Tip number 5, I think we're at now. That was tip number 4. I don't think I said it was, but that was tip number 4. Tip number 5 is pay attention to your emotional triggers. And I heard a really good piece of advice from Erin on Demand, who's another YouTuber who's awesome. Check her out if you haven't heard of her before. But she mentioned, she was talking in the scope of like content creation and paying attention to how you respond to different content. And so in the same way, pay attention to your emotional triggers. Like when you're scrolling through social media, what's making you happy, what's making you laugh, what's making you insecure, sad. Pay attention to those things and then allow those triggers to kind of dictate how it is that you move on social media, who you follow, who you unfollow, who you mute, that kind of thing. And it's the same with just like emotions in general. Like I'm learning a lot about how emotions are just indicators, man. They're indicators that like boop, 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 something is being triggered in here. So I need to figure out what that thing is. It's not the emotion that's the truth. It's what the emotion is pointing towards, what it's trying to tell me about how this makes me feel and how I react and respond to that thing. Tip number 6 and 7 are kind of in the same vein. So, and it's really about taking advantage of the features that iPhone already allows you to have. One of those is paying attention to your weekly screen time, and perhaps this can be one of those measurements for success. What do I want that screen time percentage to be in to feel like I'm not devoting too much time to social media? And I might pop something up on the screen here to show you what that looks like. And then also iPhone allows you to limit your time frame on different apps, and I'm going to insert a screen share video and a voiceover so that you can see how to get to that on your phone if you're not familiar with that feature. And so all right, so you're gonna go into your settings and scroll down to screen time. When you hit screen time, you can go down. First, you can get into downtime, which is going to allow your screen to shut off certain apps at a certain time. So that's also a good feature. App limits is where you want to be. So I have my socials here with a 1 hour limit, but you can go in and set it for however many hours works for you. And then you can also add limit and do this for any of the apps or categories that might be helpful as well. And so my limit is an hour a day. And so when I reach, it gives me a 5-minute warning. And then once it reaches the hour, it lets me know I've reached my limit. Do you want to give yourself a pass, or are you going to acknowledge like this is your limit? And sometimes I give myself a pass. Sometimes I acknowledge it's my limit. You know, it's always a process, but there are built-in features is the point that can help us with these types of things. So utilize what's already out there, just like that mute and unfollow button. And then rounding out here with the last couple tips, consider the lifestyle change you want, and don't just fast only to from social media at some point only to come back and return to the same thing, or get all caught up on the things that you miss anyway. Like, truly consider the lifestyle change you want. Like, what is, again, evaluate, ask the why. What is prompting me to even want to make any kind of change in my relationship with social media, and how is that going to make my life better? Because then I have more of a vision for my why and kind of a motivation for working towards this new goal. And then also my last and final tip is have a plan for what to replace your time with. So we're likely going to fall back into that pattern of mindlessly scrolling or spending all this time on social media unnecessarily because we're just bored and we don't have anything else to do. And that's a big one for me. Like, when I just ain't got nothing to do, I just pick up my phone and start scrolling. It's like, you know, I don't even think about it. All of a sudden my phone in my hand, you know? And so, yeah, like, be intentional about what am I going to replace that time with. If I also want to get more physically active, I'm gonna maybe start going to the gym. And if I got time to scroll on social media for an hour, I can actually do 2-a-days at the gym. I can at least go for a walk if I don't prefer the gym. I can watch an informative YouTube video, or not even informative, just watch a YouTube video to support somebody else, which is a different way of engaging that may be more beneficial than mindless scrolling. If you like to read, you can read a book. You can say, I'm going to be more intentional about hitting up friends and family during this time to check in on them. Just find something useful so that you don't just easily revert back to old patterns, because the saying goes, an idle mind is the devil's playground, right? So when you ain't got nothing going on up there is when you give so much opportunity for things to just be input and downloaded into you. So intentionality is the word. And then lastly, I just wanted to leave you all with a scripture in Colossians 3. And of course, the Bible don't talk about social media, but we look for different principles so that we have the right heart behind what it is that we're doing. And in Colossians 3 verse 23, it says, work willingly at whatever you do as though you are working for the Lord rather than for people. And so essentially the verse is saying whatever you're doing, let it be out of service to the Lord. So however it is that you're evaluating this change, and whatever your motive and impetus is, your driving force for considering change in this area, do it as unto the Lord. Like, what's my good and perfect sacrifice to God? How does making this change allow me to give my best to God in so many ways? And there are a lot of different ways that I can answer that question myself. So that's it, y'all. Hope that y'all found at least a little bit of that helpful. If you did, be sure to comment down below and let me know what you find helpful. Shoot it to a friend and be like, girl, she came through with the tips on this one, sis. We've been talking about this. But yeah, like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And until next time, y'all, we are out. Bye, y'all.